1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I've always had an unmeasurable hate towards romance movies, and with this movie, it reaffirmed that hate. But before I talk about my perspective on this movie, let me lay down the whole story real quick. We're starting with Patrick and Art. They're not white people like jazz that much. And obviously Zendaya playing Tashi Duncan. In this movie, she's an exceptional tennis player, and all of a sudden the Drake knee accident happened to her. And at that same match, she broke up with Patrick. And by the way, Patrick and Art are like old friends, so they know each other. Long story short, she was just dipping and dabbling between the boys like they were just PlayStation accounts. And that kind of made Patrick and Art compete, not only for Tashi's respect and love, but also to see who's the better player. Tennessee. Tenniser. Testicle. After knowing that Tashi broke her knee, Patrick had to come back and check on her, but it was too late. Tashi kicks him out of the room, and guess who's with her? That backstabbing white knight. He's literally a white knight, but bitch made. Her injury prevented her from competing, but since Patrick left her, there was another option, which was Art, the white knight. And that says a lot, bro. It's just pre-selection, dog. I'm gonna be honest, that is just toxic. You know, Art is just a good dude, but she picked him second. Like, come on. So Tashi moves on with Art, choosing to be with him and have their little family. In the span of those 13 years, Tashi managed to coach Art and climb up the ranks and land on a high level, getting so close to becoming the best. And for Patrick, he had a rougher life living in his car, not being able to afford food, and luckily, he participated in the same tournament. Tashi and Patrick bump into each other, and Patrick asks Tashi to coach him, but she refuses and walks away. But Patrick says that she still holds feelings for him, and blah 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 blah. The day before the event, Patrick and Art had their final talk in a sauna, and that was just traumatizing. Patrick was just trying to chop it up with his old buddy, but Art was just still hiding that resentment and competitiveness towards Patrick. Art claimed that Patrick had more to lose, when actually Art was gonna lose Tashi, because Tashi didn't get the opportunity to reach that level, and now she's just living vicariously through Art. And if Patrick gives him that big ass L, she gonna leave him. And that happens to people in real life. Breaking up with your significant other for like the most idiotic reason ever. And great writing, Hollywood, hitting us with right amount of, you know, romance where we can't tell if they like each other or like each other. Art leaves the sauna place after having a back and forth with Patrick on who's better and who's gonna win. And Patrick points out that Tashi still has something for him and she might switch teams like J. Cole. By the way, he was right all along. I'll look like a dumbass. Art goes back home and admits that he no longer wants to do this, and it seems like he's always been directed by Tashi, and he was quite aware that he's playing for the two of them. So Tashi spits the truth and lets him know that she will dump him just to get him going. He makes sure he goes to sleep and then sneakily... Is that even a word? Sneakily? Then sneakily texts Patrick to meet up. He picks her up and she asks him to deliberately lose a match, and it didn't take him that long to convince him. And apparently there was an implicit agreement because Patrick clapped her shakes in exchange for Art to win. That's how I saw it. The match starts and the tension builds up, and in the midst of it, Patrick does that quirky little move of his that Art recognizes, indicating that he slept with Tashi. And Art snaps, and that energy that Tashi used to feel when she was competing funneled through him. The match became much more competitive and exciting to watch, where every one of them got what they wanted. Art got his confidence boost, and Patrick got to play with his best friend. And Tashi is satisfied because, judging by how Art hit the ball, it looked like he won. I don't know anything about tennis, so that's it. That's the end of the movie. Let's get to the chase. The story was good, even though I didn't like the whole love triangle, or to be honest, I just don't care about it. What intrigued me is a brotherly competition between Patrick and Art. It slightly reminds me of Warrior, where two brothers have to compete against each other, and I'm obsessed with that type of writing that forces the viewer to face that dilemma of deciding who deserves the grand prize. There are a few movies that carry the same concept. Creed 3 is one of them. My mind wasn't giving much attention to the relationship between the characters and how they reflect the performances of Patrick and Art in game. While watching this movie, I was really confident that some new director directed this movie, but little did I know it was Luca. I'm not gonna say the rest of his name. The dude that directed Bones and All, which was a mid-movie. Going back to Challenger, this movie's pacing is slick and smooth. I'm not quite familiar with Sayambu Mutipar's work. Yeah, that was hard to say. But judging from this movie, he is really good, guys. I'm still perplexed on how they filmed the shot where the camera was in the ball, but I assume they stuck a GoPro in the ball, or they just used a camera rig, and they could have used a drone too. The standard of good cinematography has surpassed what I've seen in this movie, but I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just normal. The most unpleasant thing in this whole movie is the soundtrack. I'd rather listen to all of Miles' songs on repeat than listen to this movie soundtrack. But in spite of all of my hate towards the soundtrack, it is quite unique. See, guys, I'm trying to see the beauty in the ugly, you know? I'm not a full hater. When it comes to the expression of emotions and the delivery of the lines, I honestly think they've done well, me boy. Zendaya did a decent job, but what I've noticed since I've started watching her other projects, she's really not doing anything new, to be honest, to be fair. And for the actors that played Patrick and Art, especially the dude that played Art, he was sick. That dude is good. But you know what's actually sick? This video is where I'll give you more insight on what John Krasinski is going to offer us in his new upcoming movie, A Quiet Place Day 1. Hey, click on this video. Click on the video. Give it a video. Give it a video. Click on this video. I'm charging up. I'm rewriting some things. Yeah, let's just get it. Let's just get it, bro.